Is the Dallas housing market about to crash in 2025? Or are we looking at another boom year? If you are thinking about buying or selling in the Dallas area, you might be surprised by what I'm about to tell you. And it's not any of those clickbait headlines that you typically see. I'm really gonna give you guys the real deal of what is going on in the Dallas real estate market in 2025. So one of the things that actually drives me crazy about the real estate headlines is that oftentimes if you're watching the news or if you're on social media and they scare you with that the market's gonna crash, those are usually indicators from a national level, but the reality is that real estate is very local. So sometimes I'll get calls from my clients or even family members, is the market crashing? What's going on with the market? And it's like, I don't know what's going on in your area. If you call me and you're from Oklahoma or Kansas, it's gonna be very specific to your particular region. So today I am breaking down what's actually happening in our market, what the real numbers show, and what it means for you, whether you're looking to buy or sell, or you're just trying to figure out what the heck is going on with real estate. This is the video for you. And honestly, by the end of the video, you'll see that this might actually be a really good opportunity to buy. So who am I? I am your Dallas real estate broker and your relocation expert. And I've been selling real estate here for almost nearly 6 years. And I help dozens of people move to the area as well as within the area. And every single week, I try to cut through the BS and the noise and tell my clients what's really going on so they can make really sound decisions about their real estate choices. All right, so let's talk a little bit about where we actually stand currently. It's way more complicated than if we're gonna have a crash or a boom. So here's what's going on. Here in the entire state of Texas, the median home prices went up about 0.3% year over year. And so that's basically flat. And we are seeing that same thing happen with home prices here in the DFW Metroplex as well. Compare that to the 15 to 20% jump that we saw just after the pandemic during 2021 and 2022. So prices aren't dropping, they're just pretty much staying the same. So from an inventory perspective, we have about 30% more homes on the market than we did last year. DFW is currently sitting at about 5.5 months of inventory right now, and 6 months is what they call a balanced market, or what we real estate professionals call a buyer's market. And so for the first time in years, this is actually a really strong buyer's market here in DFW. Houses are taking a lot longer to sell. We are seeing an average of about 61 days on market. And remember, there was a time where everything was sold in 7, 14, or even 30 days. So now people actually have time to think about their decisions. So we're not in a crazy boom anymore, but we are also not crashing. We've shifted more into a buyer's market for the first time since about 2019. And honestly, the real estate market is pretty much cyclical like this time after time. If you go back decades and decades, you may have times in multiple years where you're in a seller's market and then it shifts to a buyer's market and then it shifts back again. So why is Dallas different? And this is usually what everyone gets wrong, especially when they talk about the housing market from a national perspective. And this is kind of where Dallas stands out, that it's a little bit different than other places. In DFW, we added about 76,000 jobs last year, and companies are still moving here from higher tax states. There is a lot of tech that is exploding in places like Frisco, Plano, and Richardson. And if you go on Indeed.com right now, there is a plethora of healthcare jobs. So there's still a lot of good job opportunity here in the market, even where we're seeing a higher national unemployment rate overall. We're also still adding about 100,000 people to the DFW area every year. So the experts are actually saying that DFW will be the third largest metroplex in the country by 2030. So also too, while we have currently a lot of inventory in DFW and we've kind of shifted to a buyer's market, from a building perspective, we are actually still a little bit behind. Since the pandemic, the builders have kind of struggled to keep up with new construction homes, especially as it pertains to the impact that it's had on their business with labor as well as material costs. Not to mention that good land is getting harder to find and everything just costs more to build, especially if you're building from the ground ground up. So I have other videos on my channel where I've talked about how the home prices here in DFW have definitely skyrocketed. Home values went up in about a decade from around an average of $252,000 to around $450,000. But even with that being said, we are still cheaper than places like Austin and Denver, and especially other states that are on the coast. Texas has no state income taxes, and so your salary and your overall income stretches just a little bit further. So right now, if you are looking to buy, there is good news. It is officially a buyer's market. So we are actually seeing buyers get a lot more negotiations and a lot more advantages when it comes to their home purchasing. You also have a lot of choices now. There's so many more homes on the market compared to buyers that are in the market. So you get to take your time and really choose the right home and the right neighborhood that is best for your family. And we are seeing in most cases, sellers are negotiating and even offering to pay the buyer's closing costs as well as helping to buy down their interest rate. We're also seeing a lot of price reductions happen, especially for those homes that have been sitting on the market for 90 days or longer and the seller is really motivated. You are seeing those home prices come down. But if you're a buyer, still be a little cautious because rates are still higher than when we were in the pandemic, of course, and good houses in great neighborhoods still move pretty fast, and you still need your financing together. So you want to make sure that you are really good to go from a financing perspective even before you start shopping. And you'll be surprised, some sellers are still stubborn and they are just taking their houses off the market instead of actually dealing with reality and coming down on price or offering any other incentives to the buyers. So get pre-approved, know what your monthly payment needs to be. Taxes are going up, so you want to be mindful of that, as well as your overall homeowner's insurance costs. Be mindful, don't max out your budget. Focus on the bones and the overall pretty finishes that you can paint later or you can fix later, and also negotiate. Ask for credits and repairs. This is one of the first time in years where we've had a buyer's market, and so if you've been waiting, this might be your shot. So if you are seriously thinking about buying or selling this year, I do free consultations all the time. No hassle, a free 15-minute call where you can click on the link in my bio, prices that you're looking to do, the neighborhood, and your timeline, and I'll give you an overall straight talk on what to expect and how to get you into your next home. So I want to talk to my sellers for a minute. I am also, as much as I'm a buyer's agent here in DFW, I also list a lot of homes, and so sellers have a special place in my heart, especially during this time frame where they haven't seen a buyer's market in a really long time. So their expectations coming to the market are very different, and we often have to spend a lot of time really setting expectations, even more so than I am preparing the home for market. But the game's changed, so you want to be really realistic about the expectations. It's a buyer's market. There are way more houses to choose from. I actually went to a listing appointment yesterday, and just driving to my client's home, I saw 4 listing signs on the way through. And this is just 3 streets. So there's a lot of competition. So if you are putting your house on the market, you have to be mindful of the other homes that are in your neighborhood that a buyer may choose over yours. So the buyers have options and they're using that to their advantage, and your house will sit longer if we don't have the right pricing as well as the right marketing strategy. But don't freak out if your home is in good condition, the good houses are still selling, Dallas is still growing, and you have to be smarter about it. What I've been telling my sellers now is that you have to have the right price, the right condition, and patience. If you don't have patience, then this market for selling may not be for you. Also, when it comes to pricing, price it right from the gate. Overpricing even by 3% will cost you months. Buyers can walk away now, so conditions really matters. And you want to make sure, of course, you're getting professional photos and you're staging it if necessary. Also, expect to negotiate on the price as well as repairs and closing costs. It is very common right now for most buyers to come to the table asking for the seller for some assistance in closing costs. Also, if you're selling in this market, like I said, plan on anywhere between 30 to 60 days plus of being on the market. It is no longer the we sold our home in a weekend time. So if you're selling in this market, you have to earn the sale, and those days of multiple offers of average homes are really not around anymore. So what do I think is actually going to happen with the Dallas real estate market, especially as we only have about just a little bit over 90 days left here in 2025? From a price perspective, they're probably going to stay pretty much flat, anywhere between 1 to 3% for appreciation year over year. We typically see in a really solid and stable market the same appreciation of about 2 to 6%. So I do think we're going to be around that 1 to 3%. Expensive houses prices might actually drop some. So you'll see those homes that definitely over $1 million, you'll see some of those sellers come down 50 to 100,000 if that makes sense for their areas. Starter homes will hold up a little better because people still need some place to live. And so we'll still have a pretty solid market. It just is gonna be, what I always tell my clients, it's just gonna be a little slower. So just have patience if you are in this market. So from an inventory perspective, buyers are gonna have more choices, and we may even see 6+ months of inventory through the end of the year. Like I said earlier, right now we're at 5.5. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get up to 6 months. And then also new construction keeps adding supply. So that is helping and adding to the inventory rate as well. So just a couple of weeks ago, we did see a small interest rate drops, but I am actually anticipating that for the most part, they're gonna stay anywhere between that 6 to 7% range. They may come down just a little bit, but don't hold your breath. It could be temporary. And this is pretty much our new normal. So I really want to make sure that people stop waiting around for 3% interest rates, because that's just not gonna happen anytime soon. So bottom line, buyers, you have the power now, use it. We are in a buyer's market, and I don't know how long we'll stay there. So you wanna make sure that you take advantage of it, if now is the time for you to purchase a new home for your family. And sellers, price aggressively, prepare extensively for your home, and be ready to make a deal to help get to the closing table with that buyer. So strategy beats emotion every time, and that's where the real estate professionals come in to help kind of make sense of your situation with data and with the information about the market, so you are empowered and educated to make the best decisions. So a crash or a boom? Really neither. It's not a crash because we're still adding jobs and people are still moving here, and we're still building enough houses, and we're still really trying to catch up from a building perspective. But buyers have choices now. Rates not gonna drastically come down. They will come down just a little bit, and price growth has basically kind of stayed flat here in the DFW area. So what I would say is that we're in a market correction. And when I get asked, how's the market going? I always ask, well, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to buy a home, sell a home, move out of the state, rent out a home, buy an investment property? Honestly, depending on your situation and your goals, my response to you could be completely different. So being that this is the first buyer's market that we've had in about 5 years, negotiations are back, and you're seeing both parties doing what they need to do to get to the closing table. You're also seeing the importance of the condition of the home as well as pricing. And I would like to say that this is more of what a normal market looks like. It is not normal for your home to sell in 3 to 7 days, but anywhere between that 30 to 60 day mark is really normal and really kind of supports a healthy real estate market. We just actually forgot what that looks like over the last few years. We kind of thought with the pandemic that that was going to become our new norm, but we are back to what a normal real estate market looks like. So the Dallas real estate market in 2025 isn't about to crash or boom. It's about actually understanding what's happening in the market and making smart decisions. So in order to be successful, I would say, make sure you have realistic expectations, good preparations, and you're working with a professional who is actually knowledgeable in this market. So what questions do you have about the real estate market? Are you interested in what the prices are in your area and what the average days on market are in your area? For those of you who live here, drop it in the comments below. I would love to provide that information for you, and I'll see you in the next video.